Voluntarist Academy is an educational platform dedicated to the principles of non-aggression, self-ownership, and the ethical philosophy of voluntarism. Here, we reject the mythology of political authority and embrace the timeless truth that all human interaction should be grounded in consent and moral integrity. Through rigorous study, in-depth courses, and accessible materials, Voluntarist Academy equips individuals with tools to critically examine the foundations of coercive systems and to replace them with voluntary, peaceful alternatives rooted in natural law. Whether you are new to these ideas or looking to deepen your understanding, Voluntarist Academy provides a structured path to intellectual freedom, ethical consistency, and personal sovereignty. I'd like to welcome you all. Please explore the curriculum. Please challenge false assumptions. Please learn to live free. I'm your host, James Cordiner. My website is voluntaristacademy.com. At voluntaristacademy.com, you will find all sorts of goodies. You can sign up to our newsletter. You can become a sponsor. You can make one-time donations over at the support page, voluntaristacademy.com/donate. All types of ways to donate. Check out onegreatworknetwork.com. Check out Get Autonomy. You can make a one-time contact with me at the contact page. Make a short message to send my way, and you can catch up on all the old podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, or at my YouTube channel. For all you longtime listeners over on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, Apple or Spreaker, wherever, come on over to the YouTube channel. I'd like to promote a new friend of mine's book. His name is Jeffrey Hann. He wrote The Fallacious Belief in Government. You can get that book at journalisticrevolution.com/the-fallacious-belief-in-government. Buy directly from them right here at that page. The link is in the show notes. Tonight we're going to be beginning our series of The End of All Evil by Jeremy Locke. You can go to endevil.life. Go to the store. Use this little menu up here at the top to go down to the store. And it will send you over here where you can get your very own facsimile copy of The End of All Evil by Jeremy Locke. And in doing so, you could also help another brave truth speaker named Chris Jansen, longtime friend of mine. He runs endevil.life. He runs the End Evil podcast, and he is a co-runner of the Freedom Under Natural Law Conference, which is coming up next month. And you can go to freedomundernaturallaw.com. Coming soon, Funnel 5, Ignite Hearts and Minds. The event that will spark truth, love, and freedom, February 21st and 22nd of this year, 2026. You can go to freedomundernaturallaw.com. Sign up to receive updates and to join the newsletter. Oh, look, there's me right there. I'm a featured speaker at this conference. My speech will be titled Voluntarism and the Fundamentals of Freedom. So, there's the fallacious belief in government. Behind me to my left, or you can see stage left here, stage right, whatever. Right here behind me is my own copy of The End of All Evil. It is, in fact, the facsimile copy that I got from Chris over at endevil.life. So, what I've prepared this evening is the presentation of this book. But first, we have to start with the appendix. And the appendix features the glossary of the culture of evil, which is all the terms that we're going to need to know, the differences between culture's definition and the true definition. Okay. So throughout this book, throughout this series, we're going to need to know definitions. Definitions of terms. Starting off with anarchy. Culture's definition of anarchy is chaos, mayhem, and violence of ungoverned peoples. The true definition is there is no such thing as anarchy. There is only tyranny. Arrogance. Culture's definition of arrogance is the foolish belief that you are of great worth. The true definition is the beginning of understanding your infinite worth. Next is bravery. Culture's definition of bravery is the nobility of obeying authority. The true definition of bravery is servitude unto death. Culture's definition of corporation is counterpart to employee, an entity of greed needing government oversight. The true definition, a mandate created by government designed to control economies. Next is corruption. Culture's definition, abuse of law. The true definition of corruption is law. Culture's definition of crime is violent destruction. The true definition of crime, disobedience to authority. Culture's definition of culture, the natural flow of human behavior. The true definition of culture is the enforcer of authority. Next, we have democracy. Culture's definition, freedom. The true definition, perfect evil. Culture's definition of the end of the world, horror, disease, death, and misery. The true definition of end of the world is the end of evil, the beginning of peace and prosperity for every soul on earth. Culture's definition of evil is darkness and fear. The true definition of evil is the destruction of freedom. Culture's definition of faith is trust of an idea. The true definition, courage to test principles. Culture's definition of freedom is a set of certain delineated rights. The true definition, the infinite value of the human being. Culture's definition of government is the necessary institution to keep the peace among people. The true definition of government is the institutionalized extortion. Culture's definition of greed is love of money. The true definition of greed, theft of money. Next is insanity. Culture defines insanity as inability to perceive reality. The true definition, however, of insanity is blind obedience. Culture's definition of law is rightful authority. But the true definition is a weapon of evil. It is artificial legitimacy. Next, we have life. Culture's definition of life is working biological machine. The true definition of life is perfect liberty. Culture's definition of loyalty is the nobility of honoring authority. The true definition of loyalty is perversion of love, whose true definition is obedience. Culture's definition of monopoly is dangerous power, centralization by greedy corporations. The true definition of monopoly is government. And if we circle back to the true definition of government, then monopoly is institutionalized extortion. Culture's definition of murder is the crime of one man killing another, except when performed by police. The true definition of murder is to kill a human being. Evil in the destruction of freedom. Righteous in the defense of freedom. R.I.P. Renee Nicole Good. Culture's definition of nation, quote unquote, we, wrapped in quotes. The true definition of nation is a group of men with guns who will kill you if you fail to obey them. Culture's definition of nobility is the best of cultural propriety. The true definition of nobility, the teaching that one person is worth more than another. Culture's definition of only human. Humanity is limited in its abilities and capacity for wisdom. The true definition of only human, a nonsensical statement. Humanity has infinite worth. Culture's definition of police. Agents of good, the creators of peace. The true definition of police, enforcers of law, thusly responsible for extortion, murder, atrocity, war, slavery, and genocide throughout history. Culture's definition of power is control over others. The true definition of power is liberty. Culture's definition of racism is the evil of hatred for reason of race. The true definition of racism, a meaningless excuse to exert control over others used by governments and thugs. Culture's definition of security, stability created by law. The true definition of security, peace and prosperity created by freedom. Next, we have slavery. The culture definition of slavery is full-time work without pay and ability to quit. The true definition of slavery, all evil. Culture's definition of state is your God on earth, able to legitimately command your obedience. The true definition of state is an idea invented by evil to replace the authority of the individual over self, perverted from love for family. Culture's definition of tax is noble donations by free people for the public good, but the true definition of tax is extortion under penalty of death. Culture's definition of terrorism is religious fanaticism. The true definition of terrorism is evil men attempting to establish a competing government. Culture's definition of treason is disloyalty to your state. The true definition, there is no such thing. Next, we're going to go to The End of All Evil by Jeremy Locke. Now that we've gotten through definitions, this book teaches you one lesson. You have infinite worth. That's the only lesson you're going to learn from this book. After everything is said and done, this is the most true statement. This is the moral of the story that we're about to dive into and take a journey with me through. Chapter 1, freedom. The definition of freedom is the infinite value of the human being. The definition of evil is the destruction of freedom. Everything that is evil teaches people that they have limited value. It's simple. Truth is always simple. All people recognize truth because all people are intelligent beings. It is the nature of evil to create artificially complex ideas. It does this to hide or obfuscate the freedom it destroys. If you remove the complexities and fears from your life, you will find a plain and beautiful truth. This truth is the nature of your worth. Value of man. To understand freedom is to understand the value of a person. Everything that evil wants is to disguise and destroy your value. All authority is created by evil men to disguise your worth. To understand your own worth is to understand the nature of liberty. The crucial key for understanding our world is to understand the nature of evil. Evil challenges the value of people by denying them the opportunity to make their own choices, by denying them the chance to grow strong in learning and understanding. Freedom. While evil seeks to destroy or hide a person's worth, freedom shows humans their full potential and their full value. With freedom, people have loved, cured disease, removed hunger, eased labor, and lived in peace. With freedom, happiness is possible. Freedom is the exact opposite of evil. You. Everything written in this book is written to destroy the ideas of culture and law. The lesson of this book is simple. Nothing on earth is more valuable than you. Chapter 2. Earth. There is a dark conspiracy which has clouded the minds of humanity throughout all ages. This conspiracy is evil incarnate and controls vast mountains of human emotions, work, thought, and speech. It has been responsible for the deaths of hundreds upon hundreds of millions and the slavery of nearly every being who has ever lived. If you can accept a single principle that you have infinite worth, then this book will give you the vision necessary to see the world as it truly is. To know once and for all that this dark conspiracy is not strong, but weak. That evil is not growing, but dying. To understand how evil controls people. Principles versus law. To understand how evil controls people, it is necessary to understand the difference between principle and law. A principle is a truth that creates freedom. A law is a lie that creates slavery. Principles describe reality. They are knowledge that help you to make use of your world. Because of your intelligence, you recognize principles in everything you do. Every true thing you learn is a principle. The movements of your hands, which food tastes good, and mathematics and empathy for a friend are all based on principles. Laws are artificial ideas created by evil men to restrict the thinking and understanding of people. Laws mask themselves in authority so that they can impersonate principles. When people mistake law for principle, their freedom is restricted. When people mistake truth for the ideas of authority, their abilities and their wisdom are diminished. This is the purpose of law. An example of a principle can be found in thermodynamics. A liquid is cooler than a gas. This is a principle. Because this is a principle, it does not restrict us, but enables us. Using this principle, we can condense and expand a substance between gas and liquid to create refrigeration. With this principle, we have more understanding and more power. Principles are truths that create freedom. An example of a law can be found in the culture of royalty. A commoner owes homage to the king. This is a law. Because this is a law, it destroys freedom and enslaves. Under this law, a person must neglect usage of their minds, their speech, and their actions. They must believe that they are worth less than a king or than the king. Notice that unlike principle, there is no truth in law. It is entirely possible to disrespect the king and therefore to break the law. Law must be enforced because there is no truth in it. A law destroys freedom because it is a lie. A principle, however, creates freedom because it is knowledge. That which destroys freedom is evil. That which destroys freedom is evil. Simplicity. The world is simpler than it pretends. Complexities are found in every aspect of our cultures, politics, and economies. Every day, people are introduced to new ideas, new spin, new views, or a new symptom of our world. Many of these ideas are perversions of principle designed to engineer specific reactions from people. Evil societies invent ideas to destroy the free thinking of people. Some of history's names for these ideas have been socialism, fascism, racism, communism, democracy, class warfare, political correctness, propriety, decency, royalty, and terrorism. All of these ideas are created for exactly the same purpose. They are all vehicles to confuse the minds of the victims of slavery. They are all evil. If you are capable of understanding everything in the world around you, you are. No, there's no if there. You are capable of understanding everything in the world around you. Your intelligence is not limited. Distortions and complexities are introduced into your understanding so that evil men can control you. Evil wants you to believe that you are incapable of understanding your own world. When you understand the magnitude of your own worth, evil will fail. There are two principles relevant to understanding the concept of intelligence. The principle of simplicity states that intelligence recognizes truth. When any truth is presented in pure form, all people are capable of understanding it. There is no truth that you cannot learn. This is the principle of simplicity, that intelligence recognizes truth. The second principle is the principle of obfuscation. Obfuscation is the distortion of principle. Obfuscation is the creation of false ideas in order to hide truth. Sometimes this is simply adding ideas on top of truth to disguise the nature of the original truth. Even ideas that seem entirely appropriate can be used to bury simple truths. Obfuscation is used by evil to confuse the minds of people into not hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel. Obfuscation distorts principles so that people will be unable to learn how to drop a comment. Evil uses obfuscation so that you will be unable to gain wisdom by watching some of my other videos. It does this to limit your freedom of clicking around my website. Culture knows that people will discover fewer truths if they are focused on artificial complexities and not watching more Voluntarist Academy. As children grow, they learn that seemingly complex ideas are actually basic and simple principles. What may have seemed impossible to understand at one point becomes wonderful once understood. It is good to gain wisdom. With wisdom, you can do anything, including commenting on this video. Your search for knowledge will become easier for you as you shed any notion of your own inferiority. Evil uses obfuscation to make people feel inferior. You are not inferior to other people, and you are not inferior to ideas. You have infinite worth. Who you are. As a human being, you are very special. You are unlike the minerals, the plants, or the animals of Earth. Nothing commands the abilities of intelligence like you. Nothing else has such complete and total ambition to satisfy dreams. Nothing else has the desire or thirst for knowledge that you possess. You are a human being. There is no limit to your nature. There is no end to your capacity for understanding or for happiness. As a human being, your life is not subject to any will except your own. You require no permission, favor, or license to learn and grow. Anything that you desire can be yours. People naturally seek happiness in their lives, and the most common and deepest desire is for the love and strength of their families. Everything you do enhances security, peace, and prosperity for yourself and those you love. Your ability to create these things from the desires of your heart is properly defined as faith. With faith, you will find joy in every walk of your life. Faith. Imagine walking over a rocky surface. Perhaps you expect that the surface is solid and will not shift. If you expect firm ground but found movement, you may stumble. When the ideas you are testing are wrong, your test will fail. Your intelligence helps you to adjust your thinking to better understand the principles of walking. You learn to control your balance in spite of the difficult terrain. You use faith to test your new understanding, and soon can traverse successfully and quickly. You are mastering principles. Anytime human beings put principles into action, they will feel power, excitement, and joy. The realization of intelligence is what people seek. Some examples are a little child proudly showing his parents that he has learned to tie his shoes, or a student mastering an understanding of mathematics, or a husband and wife resolving an argument. These are the discovery of principles by the test of faith. The application of faith to principle brings wisdom. Freedom is necessary. The destruction of freedom prevents people from using faith. It prevents people from testing their understanding of principles. When we are not free to take steps, we cannot learn and we cannot grow. Love, prosperity, and knowledge are all things that are only possible with freedom. Freedom brings everything good. As a human being, the degree of freedom that you require is infinite. Freedom is the infinite value of the human being. If evil destroys freedom in any area of your life, it can limit your wisdom, your love, and your joy. Danger. There are people who would destroy your freedom. They want to control you so that you cannot become the person you want to be. In order to control you, they use force to take away the liberty that you were born with. You must never underestimate the prowess or cruelty of evil people. Evil will confiscate money, destroy virtue, and spill blood Most people are not evil. Most people try to create and not to destroy. However, evil people do exist, and they are extremely dangerous. They are called authority. They are called authority. There is no authority on earth that can rightfully govern your life. Born to this world, you and you alone control your eyes, your ears, your tongue, your hands, and your mind. All authority which claims to be able to dispose of you and your abilities is deceit. You were born to this world so that you might have the free agency of life. Life is liberty. With liberty and faith in this world, you can learn and do anything. Anyone who tells you that you must yield your mind, your body, or your possessions to authority is evil. Understand that choices made of your own free will are not evil. There is nothing wrong with sacrifice if it is made willingly. But sacrifice without choice is not sacrifice. It is slavery. Authority always places demands on people by force. Authority never asks permission. Obscured. The simplest authorities are common thieves. They use extortion or stealth to confiscate things that you value. They can steal money, virtue through rape, or life through murder. But their actions, they are teaching you by their actions that your worth is inferior to theirs. The tool of their authority is violence. There are other far more powerful authorities in your everyday life. They are dramatically more dangerous, more profitable, and more subtle. They teach you through distorted ideas that they are not capable or worthy of living free. That you are not, They teach you through distorted ideas that you are not capable or worthy of living free. Authorities teach that other people can manage your life better than you can. With a callous disregard for your worth, you are commanded to behave according to someone else's ideas. The height of the danger can be seen in the extent to which these commands are commonly accepted as good. We know them as culture. You will find such subterfuge everywhere you have value in your life. If something is valuable to you, you can be sure that someone, somewhere, is willing to take it from you. While they bear the same evil as the common thief, the methods of sophisticated culture are normally much, much more powerful. Evil is the destruction of freedom. It cannot be stated more simply. Everywhere you look, you will find the obfuscation of evil. There are countless ideas which are taught about the nature of evil. Every false idea is created by evil to hide truth from you. Evil is not darkness, and it is not frightening unknown. Evil is not some mystical psychology of man, nor is it inherent in our natures. It is not supernatural, and it most definitely exists. As with all principles, the principle of evil is simple. Evil is the destruction of freedom. When free, you can build glory, peace, prosperity, and joy into the world. Around you, you will find all these things. Men and women like you built these things. Evil enslaves. Evil is found in words such as force, compulsion, tax, violence, theft, censure, and politics. Notice that in such things there is no joy. None have any value to humanity. Evil seeks to be a master over you. Evil wants you to be a slave. Control. What we consider as real slavery is indeed only one form of slavery. The African slaves in the United States were compelled to work and toil for other people's benefit. Their lives were mostly controlled for the benefit of the master, but they had some very limited freedoms. Some were able to create distinct traditions and maintain families. They did their best to build joy into their lives despite the tyranny wrought upon them. Because they were in control of portions of their lives, were they free? How much freedom does a person deserve? How much freedom can be destroyed before we recognize that it is evil? Slavery is not a concept of totality. Slavery exists wherever the freedom of man is destroyed. Theft and bullying are slavery. In history, African natives, Jews, and many others have experienced lifelong slavery. The ultimate slavery is murder. Slavery stops people from being able to make choices for their own lives. Everything that restricts your mind, your movements, and your speech is evil. Slavery is found in both the partial and complete destruction of freedom. Evil compels you to behave in manners that do not benefit you or those you love. Culture and law exercise overwhelming force in the name of propriety and public good. They destroy freedom and put human lives under other people's control. Chapter 3. Authority. You were born to this world with sovereignty over your mind and over your life. Your abilities to think, to feel, to learn, and to love are your liberty. In you, these capacities are infinite. You have infinite worth. Evil seeks to destroy your liberty. It seeks to be in authority over you. It does not want you to have liberty. Evil seeks to destroy you so that it can use you as a puppet. The implementation of evil is called authority. Authorities are what evil implements as it exercises control over the lives of people. Authority limits your ability to learn, to think, to feel, to love, and to grow. This is why authority is evil. Authorities are not accidents. They are specifically created by intelligent people to control you. There are two tools that evil makes use of in order to accomplish this. Both tools destroy freedom. Those tools are culture and violence. Each of these tools of authority have weapons which are used to attack your liberty. The weapons of violence are theft, imprisonment, torture, rape, and death. The weapons of culture are law and the control of speech. Evil is implemented by force in the lives of people. Evil wants you to obey its authority. It uses the weapons of violence on everyone who will not obey. It uses the weapons of culture to sustain whatever obedience it manages to achieve. Violence. Your physical body allows you to exercise principles over every aspect of reality. With it, you have the tools necessary to interact with the physical world. Physicality greatly enables you. It is a gift of pure freedom. People obey authority when they are subjected to violence. Violence threatens your physical body. It threatens your interaction with the physical world. People who are subjected to violence are compelled to obey because they want to protect the freedom that their bodies bring to them. Pain and mutilation limit your ability to interact with your world. Death destroys your freedom completely. The lie of tyranny is that you will maintain the freedom of life by obeying authority. The choices it offers you are a lifetime of obedience or death. Evil is the master of deceit. The objective of evil is not violence, but obedience. The purpose of violence is to compel obedience. Its design is the destruction of freedom. Whether submitting to authority and obeying, or allowing it to destroy you physically, you will have lost your freedom. The only way to maintain freedom is to fight tyranny at all times and at all costs. Perspective. The cultures of Earth offer their people different moralities. Perverted definitions of good and evil are found everywhere on the planet. In one culture, a thing is proper. In another, it is taboo. In one culture, a word is egregious. In another, it is not. Criminal acts are defined entirely differently in opposing cultures. When an authority is established among people, evil is either obvious to see or nearly impossible to see, depending entirely upon whether or not you are a part of its culture. Even though few people are able to recognize the oppression found in their own cultures, culture is still oppression. Most people question in horror how an average German soldier could himself participate in the murder of Jews. Most people question in horror how many millions of average people under the umbrella of communism could bring their brothers certain death at the hands of police. The examples in history are more than plentiful. They exist in every culture ever designed. Culture maintains a death grip upon the nature of man. It is not true that history's villains misused authority. The truth is that they followed the object and design of authority perfectly. Tyranny is always disguised as culture and law. This is the authority principle. The authority principle describes the behavior of people who live under the rule of law. The authority principle shows that people obey anything and anyone that they believe is an authority. Though the who, the why, and the what have changed in history, the behavior of people is the same. They obey. When people are taught that obedience is principle, they obey. When they are taught that the source of worth and knowledge is found in another person rather than in themselves, they obey. This is the rule of law, and it teaches people that their will is subjective to the will of law and those who control the law. Examples of authorities are governments, bullies, mafias, thieves, and kings. People obey authority in their lives either out of fear of violence or because culture conditions them to accept obedience as proper and good. Authorities always use both tools. The most successful authorities do not have to use violence as often because of the strength of their cultures. Both culture and violence enforce authority. Under authority, people have obeyed law to the atrocities of history. The murders, the rapings, the lootings under chieftains, kings, emperors, communism, and Nazis were not perpetuated by small groups of men. They were performed by thousands and even millions of people. These people would not have committed such egregious evils on their own. If a random person had commanded them, they would have refused. So why? Why, at the behest of a perceived authority, do they obey? Obedience to authority is the authority principle. People will obey authority no matter what is asked of them. They obey because they have been lied to. They have been falsely taught that principle is found in law. In history, it is difficult to imagine why some cultures are so much more violently depraved than others. Authority is the reason. Cultures with the least influential authority are the most peaceful, and by definition, the most free. Cultures with the most influential authorities are the most violent, and by definition, slaves. Anytime you are compelled to act in obedience to authority, you are being influenced by this principle. Evil uses the authority principle to condition people to obey without questioning what, why, or whom they are obeying. Destroying your identity to gain power over you is the modus operandi of evil. Let's get into the pattern of tyranny. Tyranny is disguised as culture and law. Everything that evil seeks is the destruction of freedom, to destroy the value of people. The pattern of tyranny is simple. The object is to enslave the minds of a people by creating a culture of obedience. To gain the obedience of people, there is a process that must be taken. The process is the pattern of tyranny. First, war. Before an authority can be established, war must take place. War is the implementation of violence. It is the tool that evil uses to establish authority. All of history's wars have occurred because of a desire to implement a new authority over people. On the smallest scale, this occurs via a process of threat and acquiescence, such as the behavior of bullies, thugs, and mafias. On the largest scale, it occurs in violent multi-year battles, such as the behavior of nations and empires. Enemies. In order to offer people an escape from violence, new authorities teach people that obedience will end war. The design of authority is obedience. Authorities condition people to obedience by promising to protect them from dangerous enemies. Theocracies have used the enemy of blasphemy. The Nazis used the Jews. Communists used the rich. Many, many enemies have been created. But by far, the most common is anarchy. Next in the pattern of tyranny, the next sign is protection. In order to engineer a culture and pervert the free thinking of men, evil must create an enemy. It is not important to tyrants who the enemy is. Tyrants offer protection from these enemies in exchange for obedience. Take careful note that they offer protection, but obedience is mandatory. Whether or not you wish to have the authority over you, you will obey or they will revert to violence. The enemies are only created to ease the burden of obedience from the minds of people. Cultural enemies are an illusion. Benjamin Franklin taught that those who give up liberty to gain security will soon have neither. This is not an idle observation. The pattern of tyranny clearly shows that the entire purpose of presenting you with the need for security is to convince you to yield your liberty. That is everything authority wants. The demand for security is raised by those who seek power over you. This is how they create enemies. Make no mistake, it isn't the enemy that tyrants are after. They are after you. The illusion of cultural enemies is designed to restrict the thinking of people. It is designed to convince people that the real enemy is not the evil that rules over them, but some imaginary demon that would do them harm. This is the lie of tyranny. It requires your obedience in order to save you. Tyranny is disguised as culture and law. Social proof. Social proof in the pattern of tyranny. As people begin to submit under the duress of violence to the will of a new authority, a principle known as social proof enters culture. The more people that obey the new authority, the more likely it is that others will follow. The normalcy of obedience becomes a part of everyday life. It is natural to want to escape the violence of authority. People who live under the oppression of nations or thugs will inevitably accept the offer of obedience. A mugger will offer not to shoot if a wallet is surrendered. Rapists offer not to kill if virtue is surrendered. Mafias offer not to torture if payment is made. Governments offer not to obliterate life if laws are obeyed. The offer is sweetened with the illusion of enemies. When a person faces certain pain or death on one hand or protection from an enemy on the other, the will to remain free will eventually break down. Next in the pattern of tyranny is law. Laws are decreed and written to legitimize obedience. Law impersonates principle. People are taught that what is law is right. They are not taught to do what is right, but to obey what is law. The legitimacy of law is the object of culture. Culture uses law to distort the minds of people into believing that they are incapable of seeking truth or living in peace. It teaches that law is legitimate instead of one's own mind. Next in the pattern of tyranny is control of speech. The most fundamental weapon of culture is the control of speech. While history has shown violent examples of this weapon, it exists in every culture as the code of propriety. The objective of the control of speech is making sure that those who were compelled to bend to the will of authority never gain the courage to look back. In order to maintain obedience, culture demands that everyone it enslaves enforces its will upon those around them. It teaches people to call their recalcitrant neighbors weird or insane. It demands that every person turn on those who fail to obey the precepts of culture. Culture condemns as immoral and antisocial all those who fail to obey its precepts. In this way, culture shapes people's minds by restricting their speech. Further, culture endows its evangelists with adjectives such as noble and upstanding. Those who most closely follow the rules of culture, especially in condemning enemies, are rewarded for inflicting stigma upon those less willing to obey. It is this devaluation of the human spirit that proves the evil of cultural norms. Those who exhibit recalcitrance or suggest rebellion against authority are ostracized, berated, and demonized. It is hard to endure the loneliness associated with fitting outside of popular culture. This is how the control of speech is a weapon designed to break to break the spirit of man. It is a weapon designed to compel you to obedience. Once the people under a culture begin to enforce the control of speech upon each other, authority has been established. It now rules the very people who enforce its power. This is the design of culture, and authority can now do with you as it pleases. Next in the pattern of tyranny enforcement. There are times when authority must revert to violence in order to maintain obedience. There will always be a small minority who refuse to obey the tenets of cultural law. Because of this, authorities employ a constant stream of violence known as law enforcement or police. These are not police in the defense of liberty, but police in the defense of authority. Cultures always teach that liberty and authority are one and the same, but the design of police is to wield the weapons of violence in the preservation of authority, not to defend liberty. Authority must also employ violence when cultures break down. Throughout history, people have slowly and steadily learned more and more about their own worth, and hence demanded more and more freedom. Different cultures have fallen as people realize that culture is a lie. When cultures begin to break down, it is because people are learning about their value. Such cultures and the authorities they protect are doomed. Never once in history has a culture in decline been redeemed. When authorities see that their culture is being dismantled and obedience is no longer theirs to enjoy, they return to violence. These returns to violence are historically extremely brutal. The violent enforcement of law is a sign of coming liberty. Take a look at a generic historical example of the pattern of tyranny. A rogue thug gathers together a band of men to extort money from the people nearby where he lives. In his success, he plunders massive amounts of money and grows his gang into an army. He successfully kills the previous officers of law and enforcement and subverts them through stealth. Knowing that he can plunder more value in the long term if he leaves his victims alive, he implements a quote-unquote tax upon everyone in his range of influence. He draws borders. He gives decrees. Importantly, he promises his victims that he will protect them from all other thugs. His victims slowly become accustomed to his will and his lies. The people become afraid if they hear their neighbors talk of escaping the taxes and cruelty. Soon they actively support the regime and by targeting all quote-unquote treasonous speech and turning in the deviants to police. Originally called criminal, the thug is now called authority. He is called law and order. This example could have easily described any gang of barbarians from the Middle Ages or from ancient history. It could apply to any king or emperor of years past. It could have described any warlord of today or any mafia. In fact, it closely resembles every authority that has ever been established. Once people are conditioned to accept the notion of authority, they normally obey without thinking. The object of law is obedience, and the destruction of freedom is found in the blindness of this obedience. The authority principle shows that even when a person would normally believe an action to be wrong, if ordered by an authority, they will still perform it. The establishment and exercise of authority over people is called the pattern of tyranny. In history, it is easy to follow this pattern through history. Adolf Hitler created an enemy in the Jews. Early on, German culture was manipulated, and Jews were condemned as dirty and greedy, a people awed because they keep to their own kind. Soon the culture was in place where people were chastised for defending the Jews. People who demonized them were championed. Speech was then controlled. Next, Adolf Hitler made Jews into the full-fledged enemy. The Jews became responsible for all social and economic ills. The solution was to put Adolf Hitler in power, to yield German liberties to him so that he could save them from the enemy. Make no mistake, Hitler was not after the Jews. He was after the Germans. An evil man, he was simply willing to sacrifice millions of Jews to obtain power. Do not make the mistake of thinking Hitler was a racist. Follow the pattern. In short order, he ruled the entire nation and forced all Germans to serve him and his army. His true ambition was not racism, but total world domination. Democracies create the enemy of anarchy in the same pattern by controlling speech. It becomes immoral to suggest that one could break the law. It does not matter which law or what it says. Nobility is placed on the payment of taxes, no matter how much they demand of you. It is the highest form of cultural propriety to obey the law, regardless of what it says. The enemy is the fictional anarchy, wherein no individual is safe because everyone is a tyrant. In order to save you from anarchy, you yield authority to the law. You obey. Evil is not after the destruction of anarchy. It is after you. If you can see the tyranny in a culture that demands that you obey, no matter what is asked of you, and no matter who writes the laws, then you are beginning to understand the nature of evil. Everything that is evil teaches you that you have limited worth. Let's talk about the rule of law. The rule of law is the single most dangerous idea ever inflicted upon mankind. It has gone by countless names throughout the ages of history. In more basic tribes, it is known as respect for elders. In the tyranny of royalty, it is known as nobility, birthright, and divinity. In communism, it is known as the supremacy of the state. In dictatorships, it is known as the antidote to anarchy. In theocracies, it is known as revelation. The net teaching of this idea is that you are to obey the law, not because of its merits or its morality. You are to obey only because it is the law. It is assumed that even if the law is wrong, then it is right to follow because it supports the system, and the system is more important than you. In order for an intelligent person to choose what is right, they must know who is asking obedience of them. They must consider why it is being asked and what it is they are being asked to do. Only then can they decide for themselves if it is right. This is not what authority wants. Authority is not concerned with you doing what is right. It is only concerned with obedience. Culture teaches that the nature of the law and what it asks you to do are irrelevant. Culture teaches that obedience is propriety. Culture teaches that when law is created, it becomes morality. Law is a weapon. It is used by evil to attack its prey. Whether in the name of duty or king, loyalty to the state, or rule of law, law is the weapon used to extort and control. Culture upholds the nobility of law. Culture teaches that law is proper and good. It never questions who wrote the law. Tyrant and brother are the same. Culture never questions whether or not the law is right. You are to obey no matter what it says. In this fashion, law is a powerful weapon to be used against you. All principalities create volumes of laws that take lifetimes to understand and armies of lawyers to manipulate. All these things are weapons in the hands of the powerful, which they will use at your expense. Law holds value only to those who create it, and only because your culture demands that you obey it. The purest invitation to tyranny is your commitment to obey law regardless of what it says. Against you, the law becomes the perfect weapon. Whomever controls the law controls you. Your worth is measured by the extent of your obedience. Thank you for tuning in. This has been part 1, chapters 1 through 3. This book teaches you one lesson. You have infinite worth. I want to encourage everybody to tune in again next week where we do a couple more chapters of this book. And I want to encourage everybody to go into the show notes and click around on all the links that are in the show notes. Check out Jeffrey Hann's book. Go to Chris Jansen's website. You can get your own copy of this End of All Evil here. Check out everything else. Freedom Under Natural Law conference, Funnel 5. That's what it's called. Ignite Hearts and Minds. It's going to be an epic event. I can't wait. It's a little over a month away, about like maybe 5 weeks maybe. And yeah, I can't wait for that. It's going to be great. Oh, look at that. Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. And I hope that something is learned from all of this. This book means a lot to me. It was pretty crucial in some of my earlier years when I first started really getting into speaking up about all this. It helped me gain some confidence, and you'll see why in the coming weeks. So, Happy New Year, everybody. I kind of want to just do a little bit of a debrief just for a second. For those of you who have stuck around this long, so this is being recorded on January 10th, 2026. Excuse me, my mustache is a little itchy. I don't really have anything really prepared for any of this. I just wanted to address the recent events in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with the brutal murder of a one Renee Nicole Good. It is absolutely despicable and just all around just gut-wrenchingly just horrible. The way that a lot of people have been referring to her as FAFO, that she did the FO part. She found out. The government was referring to what she did as an act of domestic terrorism. We're seeing what we've just learned about tonight with this reading. We're seeing in real time here what culture is doing, what authority is doing, what the government is doing to people's minds. And there's a lot of people that are repelling, that are not taking it as medicine. There's a lot of people who are. You see a lot of people out there who are on the side of the law enforcement, the ICE agents, and all of these despicable creatures that are out there doing these horrible, heinous, violent, downright criminal actions against peaceful, loving people. I understand that there are violent people that need to be dealt with. You know, there's the sad story of a one Laken Riley that we heard about years ago. That's a tragedy. It really is. And there's plenty of other stories that match hers out there. And I certainly am not one that would want to see anybody have to go through what she went through. And I'm certainly one that would want to do something about it. What we just saw in Minneapolis is not at all what any freedom-loving person should want to see. If you claim to be a patriot, if you claim to be a freedom loving person, what we saw just happen in Minneapolis to that woman is the exact opposite of freedom. It's evil, it's slavery, and it's authorities' boot coming down on everybody's neck right now, saying this is what's going to happen to you if you get in our way. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see anybody have that happen to them. I don't want to influence anybody to go out there and mimic her behavior. However, these people that are out there, the Gestapo of the day that are out there, they need to be stopped. Plain and simple, they need to stop. Whatever you do, if you decide on your own to be a person that goes out there to protest this, be smart, be safe, get home to your loved ones, and if you should fall, we'll remember you. I don't know what this future is going to look like. It's very concerning, but we need to keep freedom alive somehow. First step is speaking out. That's the best and the least violent thing anyone could ever do, is to just speak up and speak out, and gain and raise awareness, even if it's only to 6 or 7 people. If you have to ask government for permission to protest what government is doing, that's very counterproductive, isn't it? Can I get a permission slip to disagree with you? If you have to worry about ICE agents coming to your neighborhood and shooting someone in the face because they're blocking the road with their car, or they accelerate toward a person, which, by the way, if you look at the video, let's be honest here. If you look at the video, in the time it takes you to draw your weapon and to aim and fire, and I know that these guys are supposedly, quote unquote, trained to do these things very quickly, but you can also get out of the way. You didn't have to shoot her. You didn't have to take a life. You didn't have to. You call it murder. You can call it whatever you want to call it. You took a life. You didn't have to take that life. There's people out there doing character assassinations against this person because they have no logical processes in their head to actually form a logical argument against what she was doing. So they do character assassinations instead by going after the way she mothered her children, whatever. I'm not going to defend that if those things are even true. There's horrible things being talked about this woman out there, and I'm not going to defend those actions either. But I'm certainly not going to sit there and let that be a reasonable excuse as to why we shouldn't mourn a woman who just got shot in the fucking face because what? Oh, poor little fucking law enforcement put himself in front of the car and almost got hit because he's a fucking moron. Oh my God, wee. Anyways, whatever happens next, just understand that what you're going up against is state-sanctioned violence against peaceful people. And just be smart. Again, I'm not telling you to go and do anything. In fact, I would probably tell you to kind of just be safe, whatever it is. Anyways, I don't know what I'm telling you. I'm telling you what's in my heart and what's in my mind right now. I just don't want to see anybody get hurt. What happened in Minneapolis is a tragedy. I would hate to see it happen again. These fucking people, that guy deserved to be run over. Not only just for being a moron and putting himself in front of a car that, like, clearly somebody who's agitated, somebody who's just like probably not in the, if you're willing to, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but in that situation, the last place you want to find yourself is in front of that vehicle. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it takes a real fucking moron to put themselves there. And then to use a little bit of an acceleration. The dude, I'm just talking in circles now. It's not justifiable to shoot her in the face. She's surrounded by these order following creeps who are going to do God knows what if they actually get her out of the car. She has every right, every natural law right to get out of there, to protect herself. She's defending herself not from authority. She's protecting and defending herself from other people who are trying to get her to do what they are, or what they have the state sanctioned abilities to do. This is everything that this book covers, what we covered tonight in this reading, in this presentation. And, you know, the people that are defending the fucking ICE agents are the victims of this, what I've been calling lately, intergenerational cultural conditioning, which is better explained when what we just read about culture, about authority's role in culture, what we're seeing right now, what we're seeing played out right now. Oh my gosh. You know, it wasn't even 6 months ago that Charlie Kirk got assassinated. What was it, back in September? So today is January 10th. He got assassinated on September 10th. So it's been 4 months since Charlie Kirk got assassinated. We saw a bunch of people on the left side of the political spectrum making fun of the fact that Charlie Kirk got assassinated, and everybody on the right was saying how just insensitive and just out of line all of that was. And now we're seeing the exact, it's granted, the circumstances are not equal. There's definitely different circumstances. This woman wasn't a Charlie Kirk type person for the left, but it is a political assassination. It is well, maybe not kill, but it's not maybe not an assassination, but it's a political killing. Okay. This woman died because of statism, right? Her political beliefs drove her, no pun intended, to a point where she was willing to do those things, and it got her killed. Didn't need to happen. It just didn't need to happen. But now the people on the right are doing all the same things that the people on the left were doing to Charlie Kirk. And you could see on the people on the right that were out there saying, "Oh, we never act this way." Well, yes, you do. You guys are the same people. You're the same people. So wherever your heart lies in this, wherever your head's at with all of this, just stay vigilant. Okay. All right. My people out there that listen to this, if you've gotten this far, please don't put yourself in harm's way. If you're here listening to this channel, the last thing that we need to do right now, because we're all scattered to all the different corners of the earth. There's no organization. There's nothing like that going on here. Please, and I don't mean this from like a selfish way, but please protect yourself. All right. And just don't fall prey to tyranny. Don't be a victim of this type of thing. You have infinite worth, but you need to be alive. I know this kind of sounds like there's some cowardice in my voice, but it's a very, very terrifying time to be in the position of being so anti-government. And I'm not wavering with that. Anti-authority, not wavering with that. I'm just reminding everybody that we have a job to do, and we just need to be smart. Okay. So if you're in a heightened emotional state because of the recent events in Minneapolis, just remember that that state of mind is exactly where the tyrannous bastards want you to be. We need to remain calm. We need to remain studious and vigilant, and just remember that this is how we protect freedom in the long run. For now, we just need to just chill out. Doing a lot of talking with my hands, like I'm playing an accordion. It was the best live stream, so they tell me. Yeah. Like, subscribe, do all those things, comment on the video, fucking go over to voluntaristacademy.com, support the show, support the channel, do whatever, become a sponsor. You know, you can join a private chat room and we can talk about whatever you'd like. Feel free to speak your mind in the comment section about the things that I've been talking about. You know, in my heart, I want to be like the one, like, seriously, there's things like I want to say, but I don't want to say, but like, I do want to say it. I think that these guys need to go the fuck away. Like they're order following pieces of shit that fucking should never have been there. And, you know, and like, but at the same, like, I just, they're human beings too. And I don't know what the fuck, like, I don't know. I wish I could convince them to quit. I wish I could convince them to quit their job, but they're so culturally conditioned. That'll never happen. That'll never happen. So everything in the reading tonight is like, was going through it again, because this is like the third or fourth time I've read this book. And going through it again, I'm like, wow, how much does this apply to what has been going on this past week in Minneapolis and everything, all the culture, like all the responses that we've seen, the reaction from both sides of the political aisle, like what we've seen play out. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, Jesus, like, has anyone really gone and said, like, you know, this is just another thing, like Charlie Kirk got killed because of statism, you know, like he got assassinated because of statism, because his statist beliefs led him to a place, and another person, this is all statism. This is what statism is doing. It's tearing apart the fabric of society, like quite literally, like into two pieces. There's such a dialectic. There's these two opposing forces that are butting heads, and it's just going to come to it's going to really, really hurt everybody when these things blow up. And it's all because of statism. And if people could just give up on their belief of statism, if they could just give up on their belief in authority and just, you know, move on and from that in a way that doesn't initiate violence or harm to other living things or other people. Like, I mean, for real, like, oh my God, we wouldn't have, you know, these Renee Good situations or Charlie Kirk situations. Hell, even Donald Trump wouldn't have gotten, like, whether you think it's a conspiracy theory or not, the narrative doesn't support the idea that it's a conspiracy, and people that are culturally conditioned into believing authority believe the narrative. And so with Donald Trump even getting shot in the ear last year or the year before or whatever, I mean, that happened because of statism. So at time and time again, all of these things that are pushing that are just getting the ball closer to the goalpost, you know, and I guess the end zone is, you know, global panopticon, prison planet complete. Statism is doing this. Okay. Statism is tearing families apart. Statism is what gave COVID its legs. All of it. It's all because of statism. The belief in authority. An authority higher than the one that you have over yourself. Godspeed and good night. I love you. Peace.